Okay, today we're gonna change out the water pump or resurface it anyway. Order a kit and watch the video online, but we're gonna do one and see how this turns out.
It's a Nissan motor.
Nissan 9.8B to be precise. Okay, we go down here. This here is a shift shaft. And you see you got like two little pins in there, top one and the bottom one. We're gonna punch out the bottom one. So let me get in here. I'm going to turn this way.
This is the piece you have to knock out the pin in. Lift this cover up. There's a little pin in there and you punch it with a punch.
Okay, now I'm going to punch this out and hopefully it'll just pop right out. Okay, got the pin out. Make sure we put this in an area where we can get to it. We got to use that again later. Okay. Okay, now we're going to take the 10mm bolts. We have 4 of them, 2 on this side and 2 on the other side. So, like I said, if they don't come off, don't try to force them. Get some WD-40 or heat them up. Be careful when you heat them up. You don't want them to break off. And also, leave the last one in because you want to have somebody holding this at the bottom when it comes off, because if not, your lower unit will drop. Okay, here's the last bolt, and this is where it's helpful to have a friend.
That's me.
To hold the lower unit, because it will drop off. Okay, stick it a little bit. Here.
Yeah, I just turned it.
There we go. Looks like you can feel it's loose. Okay. Now I'm going to drop the lower unit. Hopefully. Comes right out. Boy, that's kind of dark. Okay. One thing to look at here, we got the lower unit on the vise here is this grommet. That grommet also goes up the channel. That's usually on the upper end. Either be down here or be stuck on the upper unit. So make sure you pull that off and put that back down. Right now I'm going to take off the 10mm bolts for this. It doesn't look like it's torqued really hard. And I might stop here when we get to the end because there's some gaskets in here. I want to make sure I see the alignment of those. An important thing to remember, any of these bolts that are going in and out of this unit should be probably greased. Keep them from seizing up and corroding. Okay, we rotated the lower unit straight up. That way when we pull it off we can see the alignment of the gaskets. Also, we've got to be careful when we raise the water pump housing up, because there's a little pin in there that holds the impeller. We don't want to lose that. Okay, I'm going to raise this up slowly. Now I saw the pin just dropped out right there. Lift it up. As you can see, we have the water pump, the impeller. Looks like it's kind of bent. This part right here looks broken. You can definitely tell that's damaged. That's probably why it wasn't catching the water. It wasn't moving very well. So the guy in the other video that did this, he had I guess kind of a new one. So he was saying look it out for all these bends and cracks and stuff like that. This definitely needed to be replaced. Now I'm just going to remove the impeller here. As you can tell, let's look at it here, we definitely have some damage on this. And I believe also with the kit we have the replacement for the, I guess, the bell housing inside the water pump closure. So that looks like it's still pretty good. I think I'll just leave that in there. Okay, one thing to note, the little pin that goes in here, you see this little notch in the center core right there? That has to go in there, and that also has to fit in here. So when we put this back on, we'll just lay this down, put it down, and then slide this down on top of it.
Key thing to remember is that if you forget this step, your pump will not turn the water up and won't pump it up, because that pin is there to make sure that it stays with the shaft. It makes the propeller spin.
What's left here is the gaskets, and I got one that's kind of stuck. You're going to have basically a metal gasket, and on either side you'll have a rubber gasket. Okay, so we'll just raise that up. And this one here is kind of stuck. So I'm not trying to scratch the bottom of it because that might affect the seal. So just be very careful. There we go. That one kind of broke right there. I might have to scrape some of this off. Okay, now we got these gaskets here. It's like a carbon one on the bottom. We got a metal one, so it's like a sandwich here. The metal one goes in the middle. Drop it, and then we can start with the impeller. This is a water pump housing, and we're just going to grease the inside of this. Grease it. Don't put too much in there, but let's get a light film to make sure it's all the way around. Now, next we're going to put the pin right here on the shaft, and we have the new impeller right here. So we'll have to come down and line that up. Not a whole lot there. Yep. And you see it turns that little pin isn't in there. That's not going to turn. There we go. I'm just going to hold that right there. And you push that down. Like I said, you should be able to see the impeller turn. Now I believe we take this. What he said, I'm going to take this thing, he said turn it, I believe he said clockwise. And slowly press down. It goes right on there. And okay, I'm just going to push that down. We got the gasket right. I had the gaskets turned around here, but now it's on straight. So just twist the shaft a little bit. Should turn freely. You feel a little resistance in there, and that looks like that's good to go. We'll start. Just put a little marine grease on the bolts. Do that with all the bolts. You got a washer in there too.
I'm going to put all 4 of them back.
Okay. Don't want to tighten these down too much. Remember, this is the housing unit is plastic. You don't want to crack it. So all the bolts are lubricated in there. Just make sure it's down snug. Quarter of a turn after that. About all you need. Okay. Here's some marine grease. Make sure you apply it to the spline. You don't have to put tons of it, but make sure it's in there because you don't want that seizing up against your motor unit. Okay. Now we're just going to assemble the low unit with the upper unit here. Remember, you got the grommet right here, and it's got a little tube. That's where the water's going to be going up through. And also going to be looking for the shift shaft going in here straight. See, look at that. I'm just doing the bolts in. I'll tell my friend here, just make sure you don't tighten them all down till you get them all in there. Okay, now I'm going to put the pin in. Just don't tap too hard. You don't want to spread it out, but it looks like it's going in. Look at that, there you go. Okay.
Alright, and as you can see, it works. Just as a note, this is both my friend and I's first time ever trying this. And as you can see, don't be intimidated. Go out there, watch the video, try it on your own. Save yourself a lot of money.